Welcome to MUIT. I'm Cameron Cooper.
I'm David Lannon.
And on today's episode, we talk about the importance of conferences like the World Economic Forum.
Also staying up to date on policymakers and industry leaders.
We hope that this conversation really enlightens you on why it's important to stay up to date like conferences like the World Economic Forum, and also keeping track with industry leaders and policymakers. Enjoy. Boom. We are back at it, folks. Welcome to another episode of MUIT.
Welcome everyone. This time we have a much better camera.
We do. This is not David's phone.
It's not my phone anymore. This time we're actually at the Hialeah Gardens branch library. Seriously, a huge shout out to them. They have great amenities. Would you call it amenities or services?
I would call it services.
You call it services? Yeah. They have great services here, along with a media room, a green screen room where you could do a podcast, a conference room like this. Just an incredible staff as well. But today we're going to be talking about Davos and conferences as a whole.
D-A-V-O-S. Davos. For those that don't know, Davos.
Well, what is Davos?
Davos' location. Davos, Switzerland.
Yeah.
And
where exactly is Davos, though?
In Switzerland.
Right, but where in Switzerland?
Oh, I have no idea. Oh. I've only been to Zurich.
Well, from what I can tell, it's Davos is very close.
A lot of
snow. It's on top of a mountain. It's on top. It's on top of a mountain, and it's very close to Austria. So it's East Switzerland.
Okay, East Switzerland. All right, check David if he's wrong.
Yeah,
because I don't know. So the World Economic Forum is what's held in Davos, and it's an annual forum, and that's really what we'll be talking about, which people say Davos for short. The reason why I think we wanted to talk about this, because we were having a conversation before. A lot of people know Coachella. Mm-hmm. A lot of people know Rolling Loud, and these are social gatherings, but
music
festivals, right? It's about fun and artists. The World Economic Forum is about power.
Yeah.
It's about policy. It's about the concept of economies and nations itself, which one, if you're talking about like playing chess, this is the master chess event that happens every single year. And what I find interesting about like the World Economic Forum in general is, especially now with YouTube, you can see a lot of the conversations in the talks.
Right.
Which
it's wasn't more transparent.
It's a lot more transparent because it wasn't always the case, right? You needed to either one, somehow be important enough to go to the event, which can regular people go to Davos?
I believe regular people can go to Davos. It's just incredibly hard and costly.
Okay, probably. I mean, if you can afford it, they always say, right, money buys you into any room anyways.
Right.
But beyond kind of like the secrecy of Davos now being distilled because of the internet and social media, at large, we don't get insight on how other nations are actually thinking in real time. And Davos is literally like one of these conferences that it's happening. And for the most part, historically, it's typically between Europe and the US, sprinkled with other countries as well. But notably this year, like Asia, specifically China, wasn't really there. Dave, I know you know somewhat about the history of Davos and its founder. So can you like explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the previous head of Davos was Klaus Schwab. And personally, I don't know exactly where Klaus Schwab comes from, at least how he came up.
He was a engineer and business professor at the University of Genoa.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's interesting. So I'm curious how he came to put together the World Economic Forum. But Klaus Schwab was very much the face of the WEF Davos for a very long time. And what makes this past 2026 Davos very interesting was this is the first time a lot of people saw a new face, that new face being Larry Fink. In terms of the
Larry
history...
Fink from BlackRock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the history of the WEF, it had always been a place where leaders, world leaders, as well as industry leaders come to meet each other, share ideas, and talk about the future. Very much there was an emphasis on what can we do to engineer the future. Because there was that emphasis on engineering the future, of course, the sentiment from many lay people, as you might say, was that they're trying to create a future for them, or only for them, or only for the leaders or the
Like
industry
exclusive.
leaders. Very exclusive. The sentiment was that even though YouTube would show videos, the things that they would say on the videos felt so high level or so cryptic to the point where lay people, just normal people like us, would feel like this is so out of reach to them. And it felt weird that people behind the scenes, people that you don't know, not your community leaders, but generally this far out of reach people are trying to design the future of your world and your kids' worlds. And that's an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, without you having a say in it.
Right.
Where it's like all these policies and things are being made in advance, and you just have to take it and deal with it.
Right.
Which is a feeling that I still think beyond the World Economic Forum and Davos in general, like this elitism of how things are explained or what they're about, like seems so far removed from the rest of society and everyday folks that it's like, well, hey, I don't understand this, so therefore I don't care, which is a challenge because we should care, right? It's like, and I actually think so anyone can't go to Davos. You have to get invited. So I just like found it out. But even with like invitation, let's say they were to invite me and you, like, of course we would go, but I don't even think the average person our age would understand the significance of like the WEF to say like, oh yeah, if I got invited, I would go.
Imagine it's something like the Continental Congress when America was being initially built. The United States of America was being initially built. After the Articles of Confederation, there was they realized that the Articles of Confederation wasn't really working for them. A few rebellions, and they were like, the central government's very brittle and very fragile. So one of the previous Continental Congresses and bringing people together just didn't really work out. It was supposed to be a conference meeting of the minds to try to figure out what's the future of America. It didn't really work out. George Washington didn't really show up. Some people kind of showed up, and that was pretty much it. But this new one, James Madison was able to get, I believe it was James Madison was able to get George Washington on board. And George Washington was then, because he was incredibly popular.
GW pulled up, everybody else.
Everybody else pulled up
of course,
from all the 13 colonies. Which were essentially their own individual states, their own individual countries. And so that's where the inception of the United States Constitution came from. And it was partially because it was a conference, it was a forum, a meeting of the minds, and you got the right people to come to also attract the rest of the people to come. And that's what's similar to the 2026 Davos. The 2026 Davos, Klaus Schwab was kind of growing or lessening in importance.
Yeah.
And he was also kind of more of a voice for Europe and the European consciousness rather than actually being able to speak to Americans. What's different about Davos 2026 is that because Larry Fink was heading it, because being the CEO of BlackRock, having his hands in many industries and many political silos, he's able
managing $14 trillion of assets,
which is why he has his hands in all these places.
Yeah,
allows him to be able to invite all these people: Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, Elon Musk, all the political
Ken
European
Griffin was
Ken
also
Griffin,
there, Citadel Securities.
What was it? Kathy
Woods. Was she
Kathy
there?
Woods, yeah.
Huh, Kathy.
And I mean, all these big hitters from all the industries, hedge funds to technologists to big political leaders.
And really quick, if you don't know any of these names, we highly suggest you look them up.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because these are in the same way that you know your Taylor Swifts and your, I don't know, Tom Brady's, like within the world, the global economy, these are like huge market movers. Yeah. Like as far as people, when they do something, it shifts society, like actually shifts society.
Right.
Yeah.
So these being able to invite these people to speak and talk about what they believe the future might be, and it provides more credibility to the World Economic Forum. It also gives more credibility to Larry Fink himself to be able to pull these many people to Davos.
Well, with Larry, I want to say it gives credibility. It just establishes what's already known. So not necessarily like giving credibility, but when you're in that position.
Well, if it's not known to someone like me, who, you know, Larry Fink was kind of like this, just this figure.
In the clouds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
In the clouds, sometimes an intellectual who's written books. But to understand who he's really connected with, whose phone numbers does he have on speed dial? You know what I mean?
And they're actually saying these things in conversation
and they're saying
to show you the level of relationships that they actually have and the rapport. Like when he did the interview with Elon and kind of talked about how he feels inspired by him. I mean, like, that's one of the main things, too, that I think is really critical to how you choose to live your life, which is the places that you need to make sure you're being mindful of where you go and the time that you're allotting to certain things in certain environments. Because I heard this advice, and I feel like this is like game-changing advice. And it was at an LVMH event during Art Basel. There was a CEO speaking. He said, "Don't follow opportunity, follow people." And the thing here is people, they are the common denominator that shifts things. So it's like a trail of success. Well, hey, if this person was the lead on this M&A deal that went through, and they continue to have this track record where no matter where they go, like the sentiment is that, hey, they're a winner. They'll get the deal done. Even I think most recently in this past week, because everybody's waiting on the IPO for SpaceX and the whole merger there with XAI, Elon's like known deal maker that was working with the government that also used to be in banking, like stepped away from the government to ultimately help support the IPO that SpaceX is going to have, which is probably going to be the biggest in history.
Is that the Morgan Stanley guy?
That's the Morgan Stanley guy.
Yeah.
We have to find his name. I don't recall his name. But yeah, the Morgan Stanley guy, we'll just say that for now. But again, like that following people it's such an important lesson at large, because deals within the nature of how they're structured is not just the terms that are on the term sheet and the agreement that you create and you have your lawyers. It's also based off of the relationship, right? It's like me and you, we have this podcast, right? If you were to sell me, I don't know, a gear or something, or like, I'm sure you probably wouldn't sell it to me for full price because there's a rapport here. There's a relationship that's built that allows terms to be in the favor of me because there's this trust. And at large, I think the World Economic Forum, I think the concept of it is to issue trust between like common civilians of nations and the leaders of nations. Because with making their conversations public, right, allowing us to understand where they're trying to go, and the fact that there's journalists there, right, asking hard questions, talking about the numbers, whether it's the GDP of nations or talking about how our nation's dealing with AI, or even, right, like it was a hot kind of seat within this year because everybody was awaiting Trump's speech. And, you know, we all know about the whole Greenland thing. It's like, so I can't even imagine being in the room and everyone from Europe is just like, I think there was somebody that put a comment on the video. It was like, I would love to see everyone's reactions while he was speaking. Right. It's like all the Europeans just like,
where's the camera facing?
It's like, where's the camera facing? Yeah. But even getting some understanding to what's going on at that level, and I don't find only the conversations that you're seeing with the camera on, like the interviews, it's the dinners that they also talk about, right?
Well,
like Scott Galloway also mentions this because he got invited this year too. It's like,
oh, okay,
those dinners that like, right, are off the record, right. And you're hearing and you're seeing how people feel. You're also getting to have more of a personal connection with folks because you remove them from their titles once you hear that, like, oh, this person got in an argument at a dinner, or this person like walked away, or actually like, hey, we heard some rumors. Like, you start to humanize these folks that are really managing like the world's capital.
Larry Fink mentioned that very specific sentiment when Donald Trump showed up. Guess who was also there? Vladimir Zelensky. And he mentioned on stage, he was like, you know, right now, after both of these figures talked, the president of Ukraine and the president of the United States is has been such a big supporter, the biggest supporter of Ukraine, just in terms of dollar amount, and
got NATO to start spending money as well.
Exactly. He said, this is what the World Economic Forum is supposed to be about. Right now, we have Trump and Zelensky in a room talking peace talks. And he said, this is what it's supposed to be about. It's about bringing peace, trying to find where, trying to start conversations here so that we can find a better world.
Dave, I have a question for you, though. So we're talking about these people that some, which we probably may never speak to. Maybe, hopefully, the podcast gets big enough. But if I'm young, right, and I'm around the age of 25 to, let's say, 30, like why should I care? Why should I even try to pay attention to something like what's going on in Ukraine and how we're addressing it as a nation? And I guess specifically speak to an American. Like, why should I care about some of these conversations that are occurring?
I mean, shoot, I can get granular. I could talk about how these, lines that we draw on a map are just arbitrary, and it's literally just land and water is what we got. So things cross over these borders plenty of times. I mean, the reason why, I guess, what audience do you want me to speak to? Because am I speaking to like an American at this age, or am I speaking to a European?
No, American. You're speaking to an American, and I think it's important. The reason why I'm pulling like that question, especially speaking to American, is because I don't know if I would say a lot of folks in like our age care. Right? It seems like, of course, because pop culture runs media, like Bad Bunny at the halftime show is going to be the thing that is spoken about more from people our age than something like Davos and World Economic Forum, right? Like, so I guess to those folks, how would you try to, I guess, encourage them the importance of some of these things, specifically with something like, again, Ukraine World Economic Forum, the speech that President Zelensky had in comparison to the speech that Trump had, and like our interactions at large, because these things do, like, they trickle down. They trickle down to your taxes. They trickle down to the opportunities that you have. They trickle down to the community that you live in. They trickle down to your state, right? They trickle down to your city, to your county. But I guess just help enlighten those group of folks.
Let me touch on the general feeling. I believe the general feeling is there's a recognition it's important. However, I think most of our generation kind of accepts that despite it being important, that we don't really have much of a say. And
it's a lack of power.
Yeah, lack of power. It's a while we recognize them, they don't recognize us, and it's that specific sentiment or that general feeling that can be summed up in that I don't care, or our generation doesn't necessarily care.
Or I'm not political.
Right, I'm not political.
You pay taxes, you buy groceries,
you vote,
you pay for insurance. All those things are affected by politics.
Right. The reason why someone would care about, or someone our age or even younger should care about or would want to care about the World Economic Forum is for exactly the reason why they put on that forum in the first place. It is to have conversations about what the future is going to be. You want to be a disruptor of an industry. You want to build something new. You want to be an innovator. You want to hear what the current innovators, the current political leaders are talking about so that you can adjust. You can figure out, where is my lane?
That's a good point. Using it as a tool of research and awareness, and driving that awareness where you can start to just gain more insight about, like, oh, well, what is a central bank? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, how does a central bank work?
Right.
How do the various central banks of the world work? Like,
why do some people believe that central banks are going to be integral in the future, and why do others believe that there's not going to be a central bank anymore?
Which was said, and also too, it's like China being the only known country that's actually piloting a central bank digital currency. Mm-hmm. And this is a hot topic as people start to get more crypto bullish with the integration of it into establishments and some of the incumbents and stable coins and all these different things, which I would say hands down, it would be really hard to argue this, but like from a fintech integration standpoint, like China specifically is very much far ahead. And the larger conversation about the devaluing of the dollar. What I think about to your response as far as like why it's important, like the research and awareness, I think it also goes to like education in general. And I remember having a conversation with someone at work, and we were having a conversation about their culture, and they're from India, and like the conversation was just simply about the fact that there is no other choice except science and technology for some of them. Like their parents enforce it. And while some would probably say it's like, oh man, like I don't want to be forced onto certain things, I do think it's a mindset that thinks about the legacy and the lineage of that group. Why? Because one, you need to be in positions in which your career and your job and what you're going to school for can actually produce good earnings for you. Like, that's not something that people are aware of sometimes when they go to school and they choose the various majors, which, hey, no disrespect, but the truth is it is an investment, especially if you have to pay for it, right? Like you have to pay for this, whether you're taking out loans or not, and especially if you're taking out loans, what is the net return on your degree? But bigger than that, the world works in a way where if we're describing it as like musical chairs, you better understand the seats that are available, because these seats rotate, some of them get taken away. And if you don't put yourself in a position to have the proper education, to have the proper credentials, to understand who are the players that are setting up things. Like Ken Griffin, right? He was there, Citadel Securities. Ken is in Miami now. Citadel Securities, they moved, right, their operations from Chicago. 2020, COVID hit, and South Florida really began its boom. And now you're seeing this uprise in the financial markets here. And a lot of the players that were elsewhere in New York's of the world are coming now down to South Florida, right? There's no state tax. But beyond them coming down, it's like, what is that actually going to do for the city? Well, there's a lot of different ways you can route this, but the first thing is, are you aware that there's change occurring? Like, are you aware that, hey, this juggernaut of a company, right, that has so many different integration points on society and the financial markets are literally in your back door? And they're not just in the back door, they're reshaping how the door looks, because Vanderbilt is building a business school in West Palm Beach, because, just being honest, like, I would say Miami's one of the weaker points is the schools that we have, as far as specifically universities. Universities. We don't.
So?
I don't think we have top ranking universities in the same way that you would say a Bay Area does. We have okay universities, but if you want that pipeline cycle, like, of growth, and especially if you're one of these Fortune 5 companies that want elite performers, you're going to look at the best schools.
I mean, we're not going to be M7, right? But we have schools in top 50 and we have schools in top 100.
Sure, but still, I wouldn't say to, again, talking about specific subject matters, we don't have a top math school here.
Embry-Riddle.
Where's that?
Aeronautics school. A lot of people go there to study aerospace engineering.
Okay.
And especially because it's very close to, I believe it's in Daytona. It's very close to Titusville, which is where NASA
is. It private or public?
I believe it's private.
Okay. Also issue as far as cost.
Yeah.
But
the cost, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still at large is,
which Florida does excel at in terms of costs compared to other places like New York or.
Yes, it does excel in terms of costs, but I still think you find, which is showing in the data too, recruiters are still looking at M7 schools, M15. Like these schools still matter. So all I'm saying is, like, we do have to increase, like, one, turning our city from just a blue collar city, which Miami is mainly a blue collar city, to more of a white collar city where we care not just about hospitality and, like, luxury industries, where you have the Miami Design District of the world, super nice, but, like, really deep rooted sciences, mathematics, like, these fields that I think, especially now with AI, is so important, because everything's being disrupted as we know it. And if AI really is able to do some of just, like, incredible work that we title as extraordinary, have we overlooked the ordinary? Right? Like, I think it's like some people, their vices with math, it's like, oh, well, how often am I actually using this? It's like, okay, well, hey, you may not be using it day to day, but like your GPS is using it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What you're talking about is building a forum here so we can get an Ivy League in Florida.
Listen, I mean, well, so our mayor did pull off the business forum that we had last year.
Right.
Jamie Dimon was there. Trump was there. There's a lot of business leaders that came to Miami. And so, hey, who knows? Like, that may continue to be an annual thing. That was the first time it happened, but that can be our version of a World Economic Forum, especially since Miami is kind of becoming like the city of the world with everybody coming in and coming out.
Especially with Art Basel and all the events that we have.
Well, because, yeah, we also have the creative events, which I think are our known staples. But I think the scientific and the business events are definitely needed. And again, Ken Griffin, right, was a part of the World Economic Forum. And Larry Fink being the interim chair for WEF, it's like, how will that shape a city like Miami, knowing that some of the players that we have in our backyards are leading these like global organizations, or at least these global like talks and conferences, that I think it's just, I find it really, really fascinating. At least, I have this kind of learner's mindset where you go out into the world and, you try to uncover what your path is going to be based off of the knowledge that you have. But we have the internet. Like, anything you want to explore, you can explore, which then challenges, do you have the framework? Mm-hmm. Because framework is everything. Like, do you have the understanding of proposing important questions, connecting the dots, knowing how to place things in their right position, knowing how to think long term, which if you're going to run a nation or a government or even a business, you have to think beyond a year.
Right.
And people sitting in those seats, like, they didn't get in those seats overnight, which also a lot of folks don't think about, right? Like, who are the Larry Finks of the future? Who are the Zelenskys of the future, right? Like, all of these people eventually will move on. Are we increasing the intention of folks to also aim for those seats? Right. And not just aim for the things that have like less than 1% chance of success. Like, this may be a hot take, but we talked about this. I love sports. I played sports.
Yeah.
But why is it that sometimes I feel like for certain groups, that's the only thing that's focused on? And you have, let's say, 80% of a certain demographic group going after a field that has less than 1% chance of success.
Yeah, one industry.
One industry.
Right.
And you highlight that industry because of its cultural relevance, which is cool and fine. But, okay, let's break down the business of it. Like, most guys in the NFL go broke. Their careers are within kind of like 2 to 3 years. Do you actually learn how to invest the money? Do you reskill or retool? And then when you look around, yeah, I mean, you have those songs where it's like, I think it's, I'm looking for a guy in finance, blue eyes, 6'5". Right. It's like, none of those things. But it kind of like, security is important. Stability is important. Yeah. Being a part of certain conversations that are actually moving the needles are important. And I'm not saying that other fields and industries can't, but you have to understand where society is at large and what's in motion. It's like World War II, Industrial Revolution. Okay, hey, best believe you need to start studying math.
Right.
You need to start understanding industrial design to be a part of the conversation and not miss out. Because if you're not the one that is making the rules, then you're subjected to them.
Keep your ear to the wall, lower the noise, find the best people, not just the best industry, and move.
Move. No, for sure, man. Like, move in an intentional way.
Mm-hmm.
Move with a plan. Move with a vision that's beyond you. That's also thinking about your lineage and legacy. Move in a way which you represent your values and the nation that you live in. Move in a way where you're able to contribute to society and you understand the things that affects society. So you're not ignorant to them.
Find what moves you.
And then find what moves you. And then also be aware too that what moves you, you maybe have to categorize them or put them in their right box, right? Because no one is like one thing. Like, you know, famously, the CEO of Goldman Sachs, he also DJs. This is a real thing. He DJs.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny.
There's this interview with him on A16Z, and it's like, yo, like Goldman Sachs, yes.
I want to hear his sets.
His sets are probably fire.
Finance.
Right, it's like finance. It's like cha-ching. That's his like sound audio thing when he comes on to the cha-ching.
Money printer go bird.
No, but legit. And so it's, again, it is find what moves you, but it's find what moves you that can also move the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if you're not a part of moving the world, then the world will just run you over. And I hope that a lot of people, AI is really running a lot of stuff over, which was a big topic on the World Economic Forum. And we discuss on this podcast a lot, and we're playing around with different tools, and we're educating ourselves and taking courses and building things. And it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to think about how technology has democratized access for people. How you can literally learn and hear from world leaders and do research and ask a chatbot, what does this mean? Who spoke here? Where is Davos? Can I get into the World Economic Forum? And you know what's funny is with a lot of these people too, right? Some of them run publicly traded companies, at least the folks that are there today. There are emails online that you can email folks. You should never.
Public information.
It's public information. If you are that curious.
Yeah, cold email.
Hey, I'm so-and-so. I would love to learn about.
You might be surprised.
I mean, I always say we don't use our youth to our advantage, because when you're young, people actually do want to help you because, one, you don't feel like a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I mean, for the most part, if you care, you understand that if you're in a position of power, the best thing that you can do is bestow power onto others.
That's 40 minutes right there, bro.
Oh, man. No, dude, it's a beautiful thing, bro. And I appreciate doing this podcast with you, dude.
Nah, bro, let's get another one out there.
MUIT out.